Can you believe the nerve of this man? I should have known he wasn't the right man for me when he told me he was a plumber. Plumbers make a little money, but still, they look through people's shit for a living. Then for a first date, he takes me to Olive Garden. Olive Garden, really? And for flowers, he gives me tulips instead of roses. I mean, who does that? When I finally go to his place, he lives in a regular old apartment. But the last straw was when he came to pick me up in a Chevy Traverse. Turns out the Cadillac Escalade that he got my number in was a loaner while they were replacing the engine on that old Chevy. This is beneath my standards. That's why I'm meeting him at this cafe, to break things off. I walked in to find him wearing his uniform with his name embroidered on it for the first time. Seeing him in that uniform with some old, ran-over-looking boots on was all the confirmation I needed to end things. Standing up, he tried to give me a hug with dirt all under his fingernails. "Ashley, what's up, baby?" Terrence said, trying to kiss me, but I turned my head. "We need to talk," I said, as I sat down and kept my purse on my shoulder, because I knew I wasn't going to be here long. "What you got going on, it's not working for me." Terrence looked at me with this long face and said, "I don't understand. I thought things were good. I'm really feeling you. You're a nice guy. You got a cute face, still. I'm not trying to be the girl of a man who's a plumber, driving around in a Chevy and eating at the Olive Garden. I'm a queen, honey. I deserve better than that. I know my worth." He just stared at me like a lost puppy dog and said, "But if you stick with me, I'll eventually be able to get to that level and treat you like the queen you are." I looked him up and down. "I don't think so. But save your butts for the ashtray." "Deuces," I said, giving him the peace sign. Like I said, he got a lot of nerve. Slinging dick like he's successful, but barely got 2 nickels to rub together. Thinking I'm going to wait around until he gets himself together? I'm already 30 years old. I don't have time to wait. A few months later, me and the girls were getting our nails done as usual. It was a nice sunny afternoon. I was rocking my Tory Burch sandals with my new French pedicure when I stepped out the shop. Looking fabulous in my favorite sundress, I could feel a set of eyes on me. I glanced to my right and saw this fine-ass man walking in my direction. As fine as he was, I made it a rule that I don't approach men. They have to approach me. I'm the prize. "Excuse me," the man said, walking up to me briskly and waving to get my attention. I must admit, he was sharp from head to toe. And he checked all the boxes for me: tall, athletic, and well-groomed. I even noticed the Gucci shades that covered his eyes. Nice touch, but I was still going to make him work for it. "Excuse me," he said again, finally catching up to me. He had this deep voice that was smooth as satin. Then he reached out to hand me some keys. "You drop these." "Oh my God, thank you." I was so busy checking him out, I didn't realize I dropped my damn keys. Then he flashed me this warm smile that was brighter than the summer sun and said, "No problem at all, ma'am. My name is Alexander." "Pleasure to meet you. My name is Ashley," I said as I offered my hand for a shake. When his big, strong hands wrapped around mine, I could feel the warmth and sincerity radiating through his body like an electric current. As he stepped closer, the fragrance he was rocking was fire. He just didn't know. But I wanted to pull him close and get a big whiff of that scent. "Nice to meet you too, Ashley. Glad I could be of assistance. Where were you heading in such a hurry?" "Me and my girls are getting our nails done, and then lunch. I was about to get in my car and follow them. If not for you, I would have been waiting here for AAA, I joked, as I gave him a little flirtatious grin while batting my lashes. I was giving him the green light. See if he's worthy of my time. So as a further incentive, I asked, "And you?" "I just came from my sports bar over there," he said, pointing next door to the place that shared the strip mall with my nail spot. Guess I never paid attention to it before. I looked up and saw the huge red sign that said, "Alexander's." "You're that Alexander?" He held his arms out wide and twirled around while saying, "In the flesh." I was impressed, but before I could get out another word, he said, "I gotta run. Got a business lunch at Ruth Chris in 30 minutes. You be careful. Don't drop any more keys. I might not be around to rescue you next time," he joked. Then this tall drink of water just walked away. He didn't compliment me. He didn't ask for my number. Nothing. I was confused because that has never happened to me before. I stared at him as he approached a Range Rover in the parking lot. I don't know what came over me, but before I knew it, I was running across the parking lot to catch him. This time, it was me that was yelling, "Excuse me," and flagging him down. When he finally heard me, he turned and politely asked, "Did you need anything else?" I was trying to think of some kind of excuse to keep the conversation going. And what came out my mouth was, "What is the name of that cologne you have on?" "Creed." "Why, you want to get some for your man or something?" he responded. "I don't have a man. But when I get one, I'm buying him a bottle of that, I joked. Those sexy eyes of his looked down at my freshly pedicured toes and made their way up my body as he asked me, "How is a beautiful woman like you still single?" I've heard that stale line a million times before, but for some reason, he breathed new life into those words. His energy and vibe were nothing like I ever encountered before. I couldn't hide my smile as I shook my head and replied, "I ask myself that same question." He licked his lips while rubbing his chin. "Sounds like you need a good man in your life. I might be able to help you with that." Fighting back a smile, I said, "Really?" He reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone. "Definitely. I would love to continue this conversation with you, but I gotta get to this meeting. Can I get your number? And maybe if you're free this weekend, we can get to know each other better over dinner." I was acting like I had to think it over, but in reality, I couldn't tell him my number fast enough. So we talked on the phone over the next week until Saturday rolled around again. Alexander takes me out for a first date, and brother man gets it right. He's a perfect gentleman, opening the car door for me. He gave me a long-stemmed single rose, and he took me to Capitol Grill. He knew what wine to pair with my entree. He was very articulate and cultured, a gentleman in every way. And to top it off, he carried cash in a money clip, and he was generous, leaving a 30% tip. This dude was hotter than a furnace, and I was like a stick of butter in the leather seats of that Range Rover. So, as we pulled off from the restaurant, I asked, "So do you live on this side of town?" "Actually, I live around the corner in the Elliott Bay Towers," he responded, pointing in that direction. Elliott Bay Towers is one of the most luxurious apartment buildings in Seattle. I was impressed. His stature made me feel more comfortable. So, I placed a fingertip on his muscular forearm. Then another and another until both hands were wrapped around his entire arm. I leaned enough to let my boob touch. Let him have a taste. Then I casually asked, "Do you have a nice view?" "It's magnificent. On a clear day, you can see Mount Rainier," he revealed. "Would you like to see it?" "Of course," I replied quickly. When he opened the door of that penthouse apartment, my jaw was on the floor. His place was elegant, and it had that scent of newness, like everything was just bought that day and unwrapped. He poured me a glass of champagne, Dom Perignon, and we went out on that balcony. And he was right. The view was breathtaking. Everything was perfect. I said to myself, he could get it. And I rarely let a man sample my goods. But his conversation, his vibe, his scent, his voice, his essence made getting the coochie easy. It was an evening that was full of consent. Yes after yes to every question he asked me. "Can I touch you there?" "Yes." "Can I kiss you there?" "Yes." "Can I take that off?" "Yes." "Do you like the way that feels?" "Hell yes." And while he was giving me good dick that I haven't had in a minute, he was affirming me with his words. His mouth was in my ear, telling me my body was beautiful, that I was a powerful woman, I was worthy, I was loved. Words I never heard from a man before while making love to me. Normally, I'd fake an orgasm to make my man feel good because it was so hard for me to climax. But something about this man unlocked all my inhibitions. My body let go, and I had an orgasm that curled up my toes. It was so damn good. That was the only time that after having sex, I put my panties on backwards. This man was the total package. Over the next week, I was on cloud 9. We go out to dinner again that next Saturday. This time, he takes me to Nobu, which is cool because I love sushi. Another fabulous evening. Then the waiter brings the check. Alexander pats his pockets and turns to me. "Baby, I think I left my money on my dresser at home. Can you do me a favor? Can you put this on your card and I'll give you back the cash with interest when we get back to my place," he said nonchalantly. "You don't have a credit card?" I asked as I grabbed my purse and pulled out my Visa card. Truth is, he could have asked me for my social security card and I would have given that to him. Well, I had problems with credit cards in the past. Identity theft. I can't stand them now. So that's why I carry cash like I do. I paid the bill, and true to his word, when we got back to his place, he gave me back my money plus $100, so I never gave it a second thought. A few more weeks flew by, and we spent all our time together at my place. We were lying in bed one morning, holding and caressing each other under the covers. All smiles. Alexander ran his fingers through my pearly hair and asked, "Have you ever had a place that you dreamed about visiting?" I thought about it for a second and replied, "Paris. I always wanted to go and taste the food, do some shopping, go to the Louvre Museum and see the Mona Lisa, take in France from the top of the Eiffel Tower." "Let's do it," he said with a big smile. "You for real?" I replied, sitting up. "Absolutely. We'll do it first class all the way. A suite at the Ritz-Carlton. I'll treat you like the queen you are. I know a travel agent. We can book it this weekend, and we can go next month. A couple of days later, we're at the travel agent's office. She put together the perfect trip. First class, like Alexander said. Total cost was $15,000. Now, they didn't take cash, so Alexander asked me to put it on my card. I didn't think nothing of it, especially since he said he'd reimburse me the total amount, plus an extra $1,000 for the trouble. Cool. A few days went by, and I was looking forward to spending the evening with my man, but something came up and he had to cancel. It was hard to get a hold of him all of a sudden, and when I did, he'd set up a date and have to cancel it at the last minute. This went on for a whole week. I thought I would stop by the bar and surprise him. I waved down one of the busy waiters and asked for Alexander. He went into the office to get him, and an old white man came walking out. "Hello, what can I do for you?" "Yeah, I was looking for Alexander, the owner," I replied, confused. "That's me," he said as he pointed to the wall. I walked over to the side of the bar and saw a picture of this man that said owner proprietor over one of the cash registers. Shaking my head in denial, I shouted, No, I'm looking for a black Alexander. He is tall and handsome, drives a Range Rover. There was a guy like that hanging out here with one of my waitresses a few weeks back, but she quit and I haven't seen either one of them since." I just stood there with a blank expression, confused. I needed some answers, so I immediately went to his place. I knocked on the door, and an old silver hair lady answered the door. "Excuse me, but is Alexander here?" "Alexander. Oh, you must be talking about the people we rented the house out to on Airbnb." My mouth dropped to the floor. I could barely get the words out. "This is an Airbnb?" "Yes, honey. We rent it out every summer while we stay in Florida. Now you have a good day," she said as she shut the door. I think I stood there for an hour, just staring at that door in disbelief. I bet he's married, that's it. Then it hit me. I maxed out my Visa card to pay for that expensive-ass vacation. I better get down to that travel agent and cancel the trip. I went back to the same strip mall and I walked up to the travel agency to find the doors locked. I pressed my face against the tinted glass. The place was empty. I looked around and saw an old maintenance man that looked like Otis the security guard from the TV show Martin, walking toward one of the stores. I asked him about that travel agency, and he said he didn't know nothing about a travel agency, but that someone rented the space just for a month. Standing there scratching my head, I thought I was about to go insane. Then I remembered my receipt for the payment. I went into my purse, got the receipt, and called the number on the top. It was disconnected. I called Alexander's number again. Now it was disconnected too. Shit. I turned back around to see this Kim Kardashian knockoff with her face pressed against the glass. She turned toward me and asked, "Excuse me, but do you know what happened to the travel agency that was here?" It turns out Alexander did her the same way he did me. As we were comparing notes, we didn't notice that a man in a suit was standing behind us, listening to our conversation. With a stoic look on his face, he reached into his pocket, pulled out a FBI badge and said, "I'm Agent Carter, and I think we all might be looking for the same man." The FBI agent pulled out a set of pictures and showed them to us. "Do you know these two individuals?" Me and this lady looked at the pictures and said in unison, "That's Alexander and the travel agent." The FBI agent swallowed hard and revealed, "This is Benji and Stella Jenkins, a con artist team that has been scamming young ladies across the nation. We've been after them for a year now, and every time we get close, they're off to a new city." He reached into his pocket and handed us both a business card. "I would like for you to come in as soon as possible to file charges and to give us as many details as you remember." I was still in shock when I heard someone yell, "Ashley, what are you doing over here?" It was Terrence. Still in disbelief, my eyes were wide open staring at nothing. Then I slowly turned my head and said, "Boy, I'm glad to see you." "You okay?" Terrence asked, giving me a hug that felt so damn good at that moment. I almost started to cry, but I held it together as I said, "No, this has been a crazy day." "Sorry to hear that, Ashley," he said, shaking his head. I looked around and asked, "You working over here now?" "Yeah, I just started my own business. That's my place right there," he said with a big grin as he pointed to a shop next door. The sign read, "Terrence D. Plumbing." "You inspired me to get myself together. So I went to the bank and got a loan. Found this spot. I hired a couple of guys. I just opened a couple of months ago. Business is really taken off." My mouth flew open. Then a woman walked out of his office waving her hand. Terrence waved back and said to me, "That's my new lady, Tara. She's helped me every step of the way. Will, I gotta run. We got reservations at Ruth Chris for dinner. Hope everything works out. Bye." Terrence and this fake-ass Stacy Dash wannabe hopped in a new Cadillac and drove off. I can't believe it. The guy I should be fucking with is fucking someone else, and the guy I did fuck fucked me over. Fuck. The end.
Thanks for watching. If you like the content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.